Set Mashup podcast, here we are. And the guest today, you might have seen this guy, he's a popular guy, might have seen him on SBTV, you might have seen him on Sky, MTV, Channel 5, BBC, maybe even on Prime. He's gone from behavioural troubles to behaviour specialist, but he's a lot more than that. And Aaron, I just want to thank you for your time again, man. And I'm just grateful that you're here. You know, I think there's going to be a good one. We're going to provide some value and talk about some of the things that you got going on and your journey as well. So, how you doing to start with? Let's start with that.
Yeah, man, I'm good, bro. Thank you very much for the introduction. That was sick. That was sick. But yeah, but I'm good, man. Do you know what? I'm just trying to really be balanced and be thankful and grateful and just kind of like keep a gratitude attitude, you know what I mean? So I'm in a good space at the moment and I'm just trying to keep that nice equilibrium, you know what I mean? And I think the way that we do that is by doing things like this, you know what I mean? Having these kind of conversations and sharing our experiences with others, you know what I mean? Because you never know, the experience that we have could be identical with what somebody else is going through right now. So if it can help, or it could be beneficial, or even just a nugget of assistance on somebody else's journey, that's what it's all about, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's representation at the end of the day, isn't it? As you said, often what people are going through is a lot similar to what other people are going through that have maybe broke through the system or not become like institutionalized and things like that. And we're going to touch on all these subjects. I want to just jump into this program that you got going on at the moment, Brent Futures. You're originally from Holston. Those that might be listening from the US, because we have got some US listeners. That's in London, but it's around sort of like nearish like the Wembley, and it is one of I do like that part of London. And you got something really special going on called Brent Futures. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Aaron?
Yeah, man. Brent Futures is a program that me and two of my friends have put together. The two guys that I put it together with is two guys who I met last year. I started doing some work with them up and down the country, teaching young people how to speak, bro, literally, public speaking skills. I really enjoyed working with them, created a really good working relationship. And then I was back home doing the rounds. I hosted something in Brent. And then through hosting this event, the lady told me that, look, there's going to be some funding coming around to do some programs within the borough. I've always wanted to do work in my borough, but when I first came out of uni and started doing my whole presenting journey, I didn't really have the connections to Brent, didn't have the connections to the projects going on in my local area. So I ended up doing a lot of great work outside. So when she told me that, I said, you know what, let me holler at these two guys that I work with and say, look, let's combine what we've done and what I do with you, and let's do it, and let's see if we can pitch for some funding and see if we get the funding. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to get it. I just thought it would be a good experience for me to learn how the pitching experience is when you pitch for funding and stuff. I thought it would be quite cool because that is something that I want to go into. Like, one of my major aims in my life is to open up my own school that's dedicated to behavior issues. But that's another story. So anyway, we did the pitch, we won the pitch, and basically now Brent Futures is what we called it. It's going to be a 14-week journey into teaching young Black residents between the age of 14 and 20 who live in Brent great leadership skills, public speaking skills, confidence skills, just skills that they can use and go on to hopefully benefit them in their careers and their lives. But also a major part of what we're going to be doing is a social impact project. So we're going to be giving it to all of the individuals who join the program to come up with maybe something in their area or something around them that they feel is an issue or something that's happening that they would like to address, create their own social action plan, turn it into a project. And my hope is, yes, we do it as part of our program, but I want them to carry it on after our program and make it something of an organization, make it something of a movement. That would be my ideal aim of what we're doing. But yeah, 14 weeks in intense workshops. I'm going to call upon some of my friends who I know in the industry to come down, who they'll know as well. We're quite well-known names to kind of like inspire them and kind of, oh, wow, that's so-and-so. But then apart from the person being who the person is, we all have stories. And a lot of us have quite interesting stories in terms of where we've come from to where we are. And I'm hoping that will inspire them, because I think sometimes when you come from a certain place, you feel as though what is around you is what is going to define you or is what you're going to be. But actually, where you come from can condition you, but it doesn't define you. You can be from a certain type of place, like I am, a real rough place, a hard place, but with the right assistance, the right nurturing, and also the right focus, you can take your life anywhere, bro. Ultimately, as long as you stay dedicated to it and stay focused to it. It isn't easy, but I want them to see that it is possible.
Yeah, well, I think you're definitely going to do that. I mean, Aaron, even your story, as I've been doing sort of research leading up to the podcast and a little bit where you come from, some of like all the things that you've done throughout your career, which is obviously still young and in its time, but you've been doing this for a little while now. And I think it's so important that people can, like as you said, see that with their own eyes because that changes you. What you're exposed to changes who you are and what you believe is capable in the world. And I think
Yeah,
you and I, when we spoke that time, often our environment can condition us to believe only what's around us is what's possible. And if you're in deprived areas, which we know that some of the boroughs outside of like the central London bits are, sometimes what you see can condition you to things that might not be only what you're capable of, and you're often
yeah,
people capable of much more. I know in my experience
100%.
of people that have been on the road and done some like criminal activity or even addicted to drugs, suffered with mental health. Some of these people have come out to be some of the most successful people of definitely the UK scene, whether that's business, music, someone like yourself, TV presenter, host, all the different things, documentaries, things that you've done. And it's amazing, man. I love what you're doing. And I think that age group is such a perfect time to start that journey as well, 14 to 20. I think that was my lost years, man. I was doing all sorts of craziness at that age. So yeah, I hope that goes well, man. And for anyone listening, that is potentially from that area, because I know you're capturing Brent. How do they go about applying, and how do they go about enrolling in what you're doing?
I've put it out there a lot across my social media and stuff, but a shortcut way to do it is if you literally just go to my name on Instagram, Aaron Roach Bridgeman. In my bio, there's a link. That link is the application link. That's the shortest way to get to it. The information about the program is also on my Instagram as well. It'll be like one of my last posts, and I'm constantly putting it on my story as well. But yeah, the shortcut, literally go to my name on Instagram, and you will see there's a link in my bio. That's where you go to. It's a few questions about who you are, what you're about. Nothing long. You just register that way. There's nothing to pay. You won't owe us anything. We take care of you completely for the 14 weeks. All you need to give us is your time.
Nice, man. I'll put it in the description as well, just so like just the extra ease, just so there's no stress. There's no
Yeah.
stress for people that are doing it. So Aaron, look, for me, this podcast is not only me sort of learning on my journey of entrepreneurship to achieving my goals, but also about, so as you said earlier, about sharing stories. So just give us a little bit about your background and sort of like how your career is like planned out, like to where it is now.
Okay, so um I went to university, um, kind of kind of blind. I mean, I just went to to be honest, I went to university to get away from beef and fragmentation that was happening in the local area that I'm from. Like it was getting quite serious. People who were just a few weeks ago friends and acquaintances, they are turning into enemies, and it was getting real sticky. It was getting techie. So I was like, I've got a little opportunity here to go and study. Maybe it would be good for me to kind of come out of London, come out of my local area, and maybe see something else, and maybe have a different experience. And that's what I did. And to go back to the story, when I came out of university now, I was ready to attack the world. I was like, okay, cool. I've got this little degree. I've got a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of passion. I've got a little bit of maturity. Now, what can I do? One of the first things I wanted to do was to help young people. That was at the forefront. But then I was like, I really want to get into media and that side of things. The first thing I did was a short film. Through doing that short film, I met this guy called AJ, Adam Jasinski. Yeah, he's half Polish, half Gambian. And he through filming with me in the short film, he was like, bro, you've got something. Like, and I'm like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. I'm young, I'm still quite young. I don't know what this guy's talking about. He's like, you got something, but like when you speak, it's like a resonance, like, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. He was like, look, I want to do something with you. I want to do like a entertainment and music news flash. I was like, cool. I got a full-time job though, my guy. He's like, yeah, just meet me after work. So I used to travel from an area called Ricelet, which is like actually not far from where I live now. Actually, literally down the road from where I live now. It's mad how life
Yeah.
works. But at the time, it wasn't close to where I live at the time, and I used to go from Ruislip to South Ruislip Station, jump on the Central Line, go to Oxford Street, change over, go all the way to Brixton. So I'd work a full day, go to Brixton. We didn't have a green screen. We used to use a green carpet, like, and we didn't have a auto cue. Yeah, I swear to God, bro. And we didn't have an auto cue, so I had to learn how to just memorize all of these scripts really quickly, which actually helped me later on in my career, to be honest. And then we started doing this news flash. It was doing all right. Meanwhile, I started hosting shows because I hosted the show for these three ladies who are still my friends till now. Big up Hanny, big up Marlena, and big up Red. They had an organization called the Rouge Ladies, and they used to throw events in Kensington, and I used to host them. And then after, they were like, "Look, we want to manage you." And I was like, "Manage me?" I was like, "Bro, there's nothing to manage." Like, I was like, "Why would you want to manage me?" Like, I'm just hosting a little show. It's nice to have a little extra money, and it's kind of cool to be on stage and get a little bit of confidence. Anyway, they wanted to manage me, so they started managing me. Then they started getting me booked for other shows. I hosted an open mic show for an Irish lady. Big up Nicola. She's back in Ireland now. When she saw me do what I did, she then did an application for me to SBTV on my behalf because she believed so much in the ability that I showed on stage. I ended up getting called in for an audition. I was confused. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What's this from? I didn't even know where it was from at first. And then what they used to choose me was the news flash that I was doing with my man.
Wow.
So it's mad how things go all the way around. Yeah. And so they used that. I was the first person to audition on a day. It was a mad competition. They got down to like a final 5 or 6. They couldn't choose. They're supposed to choose one, but they couldn't choose one. Then they got down to like a final 3. And then they still couldn't choose. Cut long story short, I won the whole competition, bro. Yeah, I won the whole competition. And then what's really interesting is that those 3 ladies that decided to manage me, they put on this event called An Evening with Aaron Roach Bridgeman. It was supposed to be something to kind of elevate my status, show people my abilities, but then that actually ended up falling in line with me winning this competition. And this competition was on Channel 4. So that kind of elevated me mad to a madness. And then I've got this event now called An Evening with Aaron Roach Bridgeman. It kind of all just kind of rolled into one, and that started the journey. So from there, bro, I started interviewing some of the biggest celebrities in the world. Didn't even really know what I was doing. My first interview went viral before we even had virality. It was with Kelly Rowland.
I can't imagine that being, because I saw that when you were on was it the Harry Pinero podcast?
When
they said that your first interview was Kelly Rowland, I was like, oh my God, because you said you had no experience then, but you also mentioned that as you were part of the SBTV family, what you sort of learned quite quickly, which I think is a good lesson about getting chucked in the deep end and sort of just learning how to swim. So I don't know if you want to speak on that, because I think sometimes that can help people, you know?
Yeah, I'll be honest. A lot of things throughout my career and my little journey so far has been that I've been thrown into the deep end. And I think sometimes I'm a person that needs that, because I am a person that I might hitch and delay unless I'm just told, just go and flip and do it, and I'll go and do it. So just to kind of like reflect on that, one of the first things that I did is I got involved with this international talent development program called Roots and Roots. They basically found different kind of like young creative talents from all over Europe, and they'll bring us together in different countries and we'll do projects. It was actually really, really sick. They took me to Hungary, and when I was in Hungary, I was only meant to be there as a media talent, but then they were like, yo, you've got something. They put me in front of camera. They said, you're really funny. And then they said, we want you to host this show. So bro, I'm hosting a show and performing poetry in another country. I incorporated their language into my poem as well, and it was live on in front of like hundreds of people. That one of the first times that I had performed poetry. And so why I tell you that is because, bro, I was literally just thrown in at the deep end, and I had to learn how to survive. I had to learn how to swim. So when I got to SBTV now, I think the same thing happened, but I had already had an adaptable mentality. But one thing that I realized about SBTV and Jamal is that the whole organization and the ethos was teaching us to be self-sufficient. You got to know how to, all right, what kind of questions are you going to ask? Where do you want it to be? What's it gonna look like? Who is this person? Go beyond just what everyone knows. Like, who are you as a presenter? You know what I mean? And it's like all of those things that maybe sometimes in this industry you've got someone else to do for you. You have a researcher or a producer who's basically creating the whole concept and the context for what you're going to be doing. But SBTV, we don't have to do that ourselves. Like, everything that I did on SBTV, bro, was never written by anybody else. It was always me by myself. I was literally going to an interview with some of the biggest people in the world, bringing my own ideas and jokes and little quips and quirks and games that I think is going to work from my bedroom into a room with someone who millions of people in the world idolize. I'm trying to make it work. Nothing like it. There's no type of training like that in this world, bro. And that is why I'm so forever indebted to Jamal Edwards, because he had the faith in me to know that I could do that. And he also had the faith in me to push me to try and do it more and to become more than what I was, you know, because it could have been just like a first interview flirty. It could have just been like a little, you know, a bit like a one-hit wonder, so to speak. But Jamal knew I had more in me, and he allowed me to express that.
And do you know what, bro? That's so touching to hear. God rest his soul, first of all, like Jamal Edwards, because his whole message was about self-belief. Like, bro, bro, even I didn't even know Jamal, but man had me filming local rappers in Guildford that were dead just because I was like, if I want to do something, I can do it because I watched, bro, like I watched that journey grow. Do you know what I mean? I'm 28, so I was watching that all happen in front of me, and it was inspirational. So it's so nice to hear that not only was what he thought about himself, he installed that in other people, such as yourself. Because, like, mate, I feel like you're being humble, but when you say some of the biggest celebrities in the world, I was watching some of them over the last couple of days, like Kevin Hart, like Kelly Rowland. Like, these are big, as you said, like these are now household names. I think some of them were like 2013, but still, even then, we known Kevin Hart for a long time. So like when you were interviewing him, all that rap stuff, that you thought of that yourself, all like the methods of interviewing, that was you.
Yeah.
That's incredible,
Yeah,
man.
bro. Like, you know what it is? It's because I think we were starting to get into a time where these guys are just coming and doing press runs. So people were getting interviews as well. So I was like, we kind of need to go beyond that. It needs to have something to it that would make people want to watch it more. So what I would do is I would research behind the person. I'd research behind them. I'd find out things about them, find out things about where they're from, who they are, what project they've got coming up, and I would incorporate that as a concept into a new concept to make something. So even like, for instance, when I interviewed Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, I bought this tin and I called it the Heart Cube. Yeah. So it was a heart-shaped cube. Yeah. And then I put different lyrics of both Ice Cube, just general rap, and then UK rap, because I thought it's always important for me to bring it to the foundation.
100%.
We are a UK platform. Our foundations is UK rap, so I have to always incorporate that some way. And then I had this little friend of mine who had a little brand at the time called Hoodrich that nobody didn't really know yet. So I put that sticker on top of the Heart Cube. Come to pass years later now, Hoodrich is one of the biggest labels in urban fashion in the country.
Definitely.
But that's been me, bro. I was always early, and I was always supporting. And so yeah, and I made the concept out of it, and it was really fun. When I met Nicki Minaj, I knew at the time she was doing this whole, she had multiple egos. So I said, boom, I'm gonna play a game with her called Ask the Ego. So I'm gonna ask her different questions, but I put it to different parts of her ego to make her put on that kind of character in, like, you know, make it fun. It was funny.
You're sick.
You know what I mean? So she'd be Roman, then she'd be whoever else. You know what I mean? Just trying to be out of the box, bro. Like, and then be creative with it as well.
So Aaron, that's by the way, that's phenomenal. Like, I feel like you're putting my research skills. Like, I'm already thinking, right, I need to step my game up now. I need to come out with some craziness. Like, so Aaron, I want to touch on that because a lot of my audience at the moment are young entrepreneurs, people who have that leadership ability in them, and they may just be lacking some information. And what you're saying there, to me, as I'm processing it, I'm thinking you're not only being creative in your approach of interviewing, which was your trade at the time. What else was going through your mind on how to make the most out of this hustle?
I think,
Adaptability comes to my mind as well, like
yeah,
creativity, adaptability.
I think to be, if I'm really, really honest with you, I was just trying to be better and better. I was trying to be better and better each time. I was trying to get better because you need to understand that my journey was so early that I was learning in front of a massive audience. I wasn't
How
given the
old were you?
opportunity. How old was I when I started SBTV? Do you know, I wasn't as young as I should have been. I think I was like, bro, what was I like? Early 20s?
No,
But
that's
like, I
young,
was
bro.
like, hold on, wait. I was about 2 years. I was about. Hold on, when did I come out of uni? Yeah, I was about. Do you know what? I was about 2 or 3 years out of uni.
So
Yeah,
about
that's crazy.
23-ish, 24-ish.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I was
Like
two, three
max.
years out of. Yeah, yeah, I was 2, 3 years out of uni, bro. Like
So
two, three
you there
years
was
out of uni.
extra
Yeah,
pressure for you because
yeah,
as
yeah,
you said,
yeah.
you were not only a young man coming into like also like let's be honest. So that was like you were doing this. So how long ago was that roughly?
Do you know what? It's been like I think last year was the 10-year anniversary since I started SBTV, bro.
So
Yeah.
10 years. So you didn't have the pressure of obviously making something of the platform because SBTV, as we know it
Was
now, obviously it
established.
hasn't always been that. It hasn't always been this beast. It's been grown and nurtured for years and years and years. So you
Yeah.
didn't only have the pressure of making it good, making it entertaining. You also had the pressure of doing it
Now,
in
but
front
you
of
know what?
thousands of people.
That's not true. That's not true because when I came in, bro, they were established. Don't forget,
Weird.
I won my position on SBTV through a Channel 4 show.
Yeah,
SBTV
true.
had their own Channel 4 show called Inside SBTV,
So they've
from
been
bedroom
popping
to
for
boardroom.
so long.
Yeah,
That makes me
and that
feel
was the
old.
second,
That makes me feel
bro.
so old, bro.
Trust me, bro. And that was their second series on Channel 4. They have two series on
Wow.
Channel 4. So when I came there, it was actually the opposite. I felt like I came into the Galacticos. It's like,
Oh
bro,
my God.
I've come into a big squad now, and I've got to perform. Like there, I definitely did feel a pressure, but what was good about it is that I was able to embellish and encapsulate that pressure and just kind of take it in my stride to kind of become what I was meant to be. Because I think because I was found through a competition, it wasn't like they've hired me through some application. They've actually got me on the team through. They basically looked for raw talent and found it.
They
But
knew
I
what
wasn't on the.
they know what you were about, basically. Like they
Yeah,
knew
but
They understood Aaron Roach
yeah,
Bridgeman. They understood there
yeah.
wasn't, as you said, it wasn't just like a sort of a blind application or anything like that. They saw you. Oh mate, I'm still a bit mind blown about how established they have been for such a long time. I know the American listeners, I know that they'll be familiar, but I think for us UK, SBTV means something different because it changed the whole scene. Like I'm a massive rap, hip hop, grime fan, and
Yeah.
I've watched it. I've watched it shape that, and it's incredible. And you spoke a little bit about pressure and a little bit about sort of going in the deep end, creativity. I mean, what like for the entrepreneurs and the people that are into the mindset, what would you be telling them, Aaron, that you've learned from your journey, which they can begin to implement in their lives to hopefully better themselves and their business or whatever?
So there's a few things. I think one of the first things that we have to do is really understand who we are, whether it be as a talent, whether it be as a business entity, whether it be as a business person, or even just as a individual who is striving for greatness. We need to understand who we are first, because I feel like once you know who you are, then it's easier for you to understand what your USP is. It's easier for you to understand where your expertise lie, and then from there we build outwards.
Mm,
Okay. I think a lot of times as well, people have very interesting bases of knowledge that are quite unique or that are quite established that maybe some people don't, but they don't see the value in them. I think one thing I always say to people as well is, listen, if you have a passion, if there's something that you know a lot about, if there's something that you're really interested in, you might think that is pointless. You might think that no one would care, but actually you can turn that into a business. You can turn that into a platform. You can turn that into something where you will find your community globally. Like
yep.
we've got a guy right now, Francois, who's into trains. Yeah, he was. I think he's from. I think he's from not far from my side actually. He was teased in school for loving trains and watching them. Now this guy is possibly a millionaire from his TikTok and his social media because he watches trains and he gets really, really excited.
Oh no, I think I've seen him on social
Yeah,
media. He's got
yeah,
like
yeah,
millions of followers and like big.
exactly. And he was teased for his
Yeah,
like. But why I say that is he might have thought that he had a mundane interest,
yeah,
but his mundane interest has now equated to him becoming something of
yeah.
of a of a of a massive entity in his own right. You know what I mean? So to get back to the point, know who you are. And when you know who you are, you then know what you stand for, what your USP is, and what you can build out from. And then one of the biggest things from my personal experience is that on this journey to betterment, it's going to feel like you're in a tunnel, but this tunnel is very dark. The hardest part about being in that tunnel, they call it tunnel vision, having foresight. The hardest thing about having tunnel vision in this journey is that you have to continue moving forward, even though you can't see the light, but you have to have faith and know and have belief that the light is at the end of that tunnel. You can't see it right now. And that's hard because life is difficult, but you have to keep going. You have to have that belief in yourself. You have to have that belief in your own ability. And you have to have that belief in what you can do and give to this world and keep pushing with it. So tunnel vision to me is so much deeper than this little blase word that people can use. Tunnel vision for me is a real thing, but the hardest thing about it is that sometimes, not even sometimes, a lot of times you cannot see that light, but you have to keep pushing towards it. It's important.
100%, bro. And that actually gave me goosebumps a little bit because you're so right about you're not always going to see that light. You're not always going to be filled with optimism, be filled with positivity, but that ability to keep going. Personally, I think that's the biggest part of entrepreneurship and becoming the best person you can be in your journey. Because ultimately, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you only fail when you give up, you know, and it's the ability to continue moving forward. And
They say you miss every shot you don't take.
yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah,
Sorry, carry on.
no, that's what I'm saying. It's cool. You're gonna say something. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say another thing that I'm super passionate about, and I think it sort of matches with your story about leadership because, and obviously your program coming up. I think leadership is probably one of the most undervalued but most important part of our society, and there's some really good leaders out there, and you're doing a really good job of developing. But what is leadership? What is leadership for you? What was good leadership, I
I
should
think
say, for you?
I think leadership is multifaceted, but I think to get back to the derivative of the word, I think leadership to me is just leading by example, actions by example, moving by example. So I feel like leadership is something that we need to embody in ourselves, especially as older members of society now, where we may have younger ones who look up to us. I feel like leadership is us acting and moving and living in the way that we want to set as an example for those that come next. I think that's what leadership is. But then leadership to me is also making sure that I push the bloody hardest that I can do with what I'm doing to make sure that I can edge the gap open for those that come after me to have an easier entrance into the pathways that I've taken than it was for me. So I think there's two elements to it. I think it's leading by example, but I think it's also doing the best that you can as an individual to make sure you set the foundations for who and what comes next. I think leadership can also be dangerous, you know, because we have a lot of false prophets. We have a lot of leaders that are leading people into, you know, how does it say in the Bible? Lead us not into
Temptation.
damnation or temptation. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
true,
we've
bro.
got a lot of people that are leading people into negative paths, you know. So I feel like leadership can also be dangerous if it's placed in the hands of the wrong people. And I feel like the internet has allowed it to be placed into all different types of hands that unfortunately are not the most positive. But we focus on our own journeys. And I think from my perspective, it's all about leading by example and also try and act with all you can to fulfill your fullest potential to allow the pathway and the foundations for those who come after us to be better than ours were. Leadership is about trying to better with each generation. Each generation should be trying to do better than the last. Not in a competition way, but in a way to continue a building of a foundation that leads us to a better future. And that's what I feel leadership is for me. It's sharing, man. Sharing is a major part of leadership. I feel like a lot of times when people find themselves in position, when you find yourself in position, you find yourself with knowledge and information that maybe not everyone has access to. I think a major part of that is that we have to disseminate that information. We have to share that. The only way that we can build is by sharing information and sharing those knowledge that we gain to assist others, to help those who are also coming up, if that makes sense.
Oh no, that makes perfect sense, man, and I completely agree with everything you said. I love that part about sharing. I think as leaders, it's really easy to try and keep as much as you can to yourself because it sort of validates your own success, you know, and it sort of keeps you like above other people in quotation marks. But actually, a good leader is about sharing. And I think I also love what you said about leadership can be dangerous. And I think we're seeing that more and more. And again, I agree with you. I don't want to touch on it too long, but I think it is important because I believe as a leader, we have other people's happiness at the palm of our hands a lot of the time. And it's so important to be conscious with what you do and be careful. Where are you leading people? And where is that coming from in yourself? You know, like where are you, is it some ego thing that you're trying to prove or what? So no, I love what you said, man. And that's what this podcast is all about. Just discussing these journeys, what mindset is and what leadership is. And ultimately the positive impact that we have on other people just through our stories, through exposing people. So, Aaron, just as we bring this to a close, is there anything that you feel that you want to add following our discussion that could help someone, that could make their day a little bit better?
I think, talking from my own perspective again, I feel like it took me a very long time to really gain the confidence in myself for me to be able to say, can I swear?
Yeah.
To say, I'm fucking good at what I do. Like, I am fucking one of the best, if not the best at what I do. And the reason I tell you that is because I think it's very important, not in an egotistical way, not in a narcissistic way, but it's very important for us to find the confidence in ourselves as quickly and early as possible. It took me a very long time. I've done so much stuff. I've been on TV and stuff like this, and I've still not been all the way fully confident in myself and my ability. But I can honestly say that I'm finally there now, where I have the full faith in what I can do, where you can put me in any context, and bro, I'm going to knock it out of the park. So why I say that is I think it's very important for people to not do the British thing. British people, you tell us that we're great at something, you give us compliments, we're like, oh, thank you. You know, I know, but I still a long way to go. But thank you so much for for your kind words. We don't even hear the compliments. We only probably focus on the criticisms.
Yeah.
We need to be more like Americans. Americans, they would tell you how great they are. And there's a reason why you see such a vast difference in their culture and the vastness of their culture, especially when it comes to my line of things, which is the entertainment world, the media world. Like, I'm not saying for us to all run around and be big heads, but one thing that I will say to people is, listen, there's a reason why you have got yourself into a certain position. There's a reason why you've been able to scale a certain industry, whether it be my industry or a business industry. There's a reason why you've done that. It's not because someone just likes the way that you look. It's because you've earned it through your ability. Have ultimate faith in your ability. Yes, you are fucking amazing at what you do, and there's nothing wrong with you embracing that. And that's why I'll leave it there.
No, I love that, man. And just for the people listening, can you just plug your socials, plug anyone else that you want to plug that's just sort of been a part of your journey, man?
Yeah, so on socials, Twitter, Roach Bridgeman, TikTok, the same thing, Roach Bridgeman. On Facebook and Instagram, it's Aaron Roach Bridgeman. Or just Google my full name, and a lot of stuff that I'm involved in will come up. I want to send a special shout out to my artist, Preds UK. someone that I'm working with very closely. He's got a new single that came out a few weeks ago. We've got another single coming out hopefully within the next month or so as well. Please check him out. Also, Brent Futures program, big up Loudspeaker organization. And yeah, man, shout out my mom and dad as well, man, because you know what? I gave them hell when I was young. And when I was young, I felt like they were my ops. But actually, when I really reflect on my journey, a lot of the reasons why I've gone a certain way is directly to do with my mom and dad and their super Caribbean strictness. So big them up as well. And shout out to everyone who has shown me support on my journey. Because if you listen to the first part of my journey, what you would have heard is that actually it was people who had more faith in me than I had in myself. The guy that filmed me on that movie, he saw something in me and wanted to do something with me. Pause. And so we did that. Yeah. The three ladies wanted to manage me, and so we did that. And all of these things led on to my journey. And Nicola as well. Big up Nicola. So also another thing I'll say to people as well is there's people around you that believe in you. Keep these people close, because if it wasn't for those people that believed in me at the start of my journey, I would not be here, because I would not have pushed with this. It was them that pushed me into this, and now I am here where I am. So big up them, big up you. Let's get it, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I love that. And look, if you're still here, I'm grateful for your time. Aaron's grateful for your time. Subscribe to wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to the thing. It helps more than you know. Go and subscribe. Aaron's on everything. Just go and show love. It literally, you can do it for free, and I promise you, we're going to continue putting in our work. But for now, God bless you all. Let's go.
Love, my guy.